Hello everyone, welcome to Electric City Wiffle. I am your host Mitch Hipshooter in the studio as always to bring you the highlights from Slate 3. And we have two great matchups for you with Smash Bros taking on Stunners right there, as well as the defending champs, the Downstate Executioners, taking on a desperate Dynasty team. But first, we ask that you please hit that like button, like right now, and subscribe to our channel, where we post new content every Thursday. And speaking of new content, we're going to try something a little different with the highlights to keep you a little more informed. We hope you like this new style, and you don't have to wait long to find out, because it's time right now for the Slate 3 highlights. DX versus Dynasty is already a pivotal matchup this early in the season, especially for Dynasty, who come in at 1-4. And if they were to be swept here today, they would be sitting with the same number of losses they had all of last season. For DX, they're 3-2, and it's a chance to continue to prove to us that they are who we thought they were after that shocking 0-2 start on opening day. Now, the biggest elephant on the field for all of Slate 3 was the wind. It was strong and it was blowing in. So things shaped up to be a tough day for the hitters and a great day for the pitchers. And that's basically how this series would go, as every pitcher in the series had success. But the thing that would determine the outcome of these games would actually be who had the bigger hits. And it would be DX who struck first in the first of the first game when Corey Kane served up this hot slice of what in the hell off of Dynasty's Chris Hess.
Oh! Get out, baby! Let's go, Corey Kane! Woo!
The 3-run blast was Corey Kane's fourth of the season already, which is 4 times more than he had all of last season, and it gave DX the early cushion. Corey himself looked solid on the mound and hit very few bumps in the road until the top of the third, when with 2 outs, Omar Hussein worked a walk to put a runner on base. And then Chris Hess stepped up and exacted a bit of revenge. The 2-run blast pulled Dynasty within a run and injected some life into them. But their upbeat mood wouldn't last too long, because in the bottom of the frame with a runner on first, Nate Cruz did this. The lead once again got pushed back to 3, and Dynasty was running out of time. In the top of the 4th, Dynasty's desperation shined through as they refused to go down quietly. After a strikeout of Justin Mera, Omar got the shortest hit of his life, followed by Chris Hess returning to room temperature for the second out. But Matt Buttram worked a walk via speed violation, and then Justin Mera managed to scrape together this single to load the bases for Omar Hussein. A go-ahead grand slam denied by Mother Nature. Sometimes the actual world is against you. And for Dynasty, it has to feel like a crushing blow. But would it carry over into Game 2? In Game 2, each side would change pitchers, with Omar Hussein taking the mound for Dynasty, refusing to even don his team's jersey because they've lost so much, and Nate Cruz taking the mound for DX. Now, this game was close, but a bit boring compared to the first one, I will admit, as the first 2 innings saw both pitchers put up zeros, although in different ways. as Omar managed to escape a bases-loaded jam in both innings, while Nate's strategy was more of a ground and pound. The game would take a turn in the third inning when Omar completely lost the zone and walked 5 batters in a row, before he turned it over to relief pitcher Matt Butchum, who found himself in quite the predicament with a base full of runners, no outs, and 2 runs already in. Matt would try his best to mitigate the damage, but just like in Game 1, Corey Kane had other ideas, as he smacked a big double the other way to make it a 5-0 ball game, and that's all the insurance Nate Cruz would need on the mound, as he continued to basically dominate everyone in the Dynasty lineup except Matty B. While Matt did his best at the plate and in the field to keep Dynasty in it, Nate was able to get 3 outs in the bottom of the inning, capped off with this game-ending double play to take Game 2 5-0. For Game 3, the importance is obvious, as DX attempts to win its 6th game in a row, and Dynasty clings to any vine of hope they can as their season flashes before their eyes. And in Game 3, DX stayed with what worked and kept Nate Cruz on the mound, while Dynasty would turn it back to Game 1 starter Chris Hess. For Nate, there was some trouble right out of the gate, having to work around a pair of singles by Omar and Chris Hess, and a walk by Matty B, which loaded the bases with 2 outs for Justin Mera, who promptly grounded to third base for the 1,000,000th time in the series, and DX escaped unharmed. On the other side for Dynasty, Hess let his fielders field, and Nate Cruz eventually started to follow suit, with a little help from the wind. Matt Butchum also followed suit, continuing to terrorize opposing pitchers. But again, DX took no damage. While for Dynasty, Chris Hess began taking souls, throwing some truly funky stuff and keeping the DX offense completely in check. In the 4th inning, with the game still scoreless, Nate started out the inning by making 2 great defensive plays. Before striking out Justin Mera to end the frame and guarantee DX at least a point, as the worst they could do now would be to lose in a swing-off. But DX isn't one to settle. The bottom of the 4th started with back-to-back strikeouts of Ali Paris and then Corey Kane, and a swing-off looked inevitable. And as Dynasty decided to intentionally walk Nate Cruz, it would be up to Steve Tazi to determine how this game ended.
Oh, country strong!
Let's
go! What win?
Into existence, go!
What win?
Let's go!
Oh, country strong!
Let's go!
What win?
Into existence, go!
What win?
Let's go!
The walk-off home run for Steve Tazi and the heartbreak for Dynasty Nation as they dropped to an unbelievable 1-7. But more importantly, DX gets their 6th win in a row to move to 6-2 on the season, and depending what happens in the last series of the slate, they could be in first place at the end of Slate 3. Smash Bros vs. Stunners is an intriguing matchup. The Stunners don't traditionally match up well against Smash Bros, but they've never been swept by them either. And coming in at 2-3, they need a win if for no other reason than to prove to themselves that they can compete with the best right now. Meanwhile, Smash Bros is looking to continue their hot start and remain in first place overall. And just as importantly, they want to defend the Power Surge belt that will be on the line today in Game 3. With the wind still at their backs, both pitchers would post scoreless frames for the first 2 innings. But Aussie's path for the Stunners would be a little rougher than Josh's. In the first inning, after a couple of Ks and a couple of walks, this Austin Zulo single up the middle loaded the bases. But Aussie was able to get Josh to pop up off camera to the Stunners' Mike Curtin. Then in the second inning, a pair of defensive miscues, including one of the funniest you'll ever see, loaded the bases again.
Knocked him up, double play opportunity. Knocked him up, double play opportunity. Is that an error?
This time, Aussie was able to strike out one of the most dangerous hitters in the league in Jesse Horwedel to escape the jam. For the Smash Bros. Josh Longo, in the first inning, he had to work around this Mike Curtin single. But struck out both Zay and Aussie to end the first inning. Things went a little smoother for Josh in the second inning. Aside from that, when he got Mike Curtin to ground out, then he got Zay to K, and finally got Kyle Dragenti to ground to third. At this point, you're probably wondering how much longer Aussie could hold off the powerful Smash Bros. Offense. And unfortunately for Aussie and the Stunners, the answer was not much longer. After this RBI double from Zulo, and then a walk to Josh Longo, Jesse Horwedel came to the plate with 2 outs and the bases loaded, and unloaded them. The hits didn't stop there, as Smash Bros. Threatened to mercy the Stunners for the inning, until their defense actually got them out of the inning.
What a snag.
The Stunners kept fighting and putting the ball in play, but it simply wasn't enough.
Attaboy, Corey.
And then in the top of the fourth, Zach Longo put the game away with a 2-out grand slam of his own to push the lead to 9-0. In the bottom half of the inning, Josh used a little bit of wind his right-hand man and his left arm to close out the Stunners in Game 1. The Smash Bros, as they traditionally do, sent Zach Longo to the mound for Game 2, looking to pick up his second win of the season. And Zach picked up right where his brother left off in Game 1, including striking out the side to start the game.
Oh my God.
For Aussie, it was more of the same, continuously navigating in and out of men on base for 3 innings.
Oh my God.
The Stunners made plays when they needed to keep the Smash Bros off the board, including this double play to end the 3rd inning.
Chance for a double play. Get him out of the inning. Chance for a double play. Get him out of the inning.
Still a scoreless game into the top of the 4th, the Stunners finally had a big offensive opportunity when they loaded the bases with 2 outs and sent their captain to the plate.
Get out! Let's go! Get out! Let's go! That one could go.
Now with a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th, with a chance to close things out, unsurprisingly, it wouldn't be easy for the Stunners. After a 1-out single, followed by another defensive miscue, Smash Bros threatened as the rain started to fall. But Aussie struck out Zach Longo for the 2nd out, and then finished off Chris Horrido to secure the dub for the Stunners.
And that's your ball game, 61 on the dot. Stunners force a rubber game.
Game 3 in this series has extra importance, because not only are 3 points on the line as with every game, but the Power Surge belt and the bonus point that comes along with it are also on the line here in Game 3. And whoever walks away with the Power Surge will be tasked with defending it in the next slate. And in this crucial game, the Stunners turned to Mike Curtin on the mound, something they plan to do a lot more often this season than last. While for Smash Bros, as expected, it was back to Captain Josh Longo. Right off the bat, Mike got into a jam, loading the bases. But a big play from his defense, followed by a big strike. No, not that one. That one helped him to get out of the inning unscathed. Meanwhile, for Smash Bros, Josh Longo continued to slice through the Stunners' offense like a hot knife through butter. In the second inning, Mike Curtin found himself in some trouble again, with 2 men on and no outs, before striking out Zach Longo for the first out. He managed to get the next batter, Austin Zulo, to pop up, but missed the opportunity to end the inning with a double play. Mike would get a second chance to end the inning when the next batter, Josh Longo, grounded one back to the mound, but the ball managed to sneak between the wickets and the bases were loaded. The next batter for Smash Bros was Jesse Horwedel, who proceeded to get the biggest little hit you'll ever see. That little spinner brought the first run of the game across the plate. The Stunners were able to get out of the inning just 1 pitch later after an incredible snag at third by Aussie. But Smash Bros now had the 1-0 lead, and it put even more pressure on the Stunners offense. Over the next inning and a half, both offenses were held in check, with the Longo brothers making all the outs for Smash Bros and Mike Curtin making all the outs for the Stunners. And in the fourth inning, KG was able to redeem himself. Not once, but twice. As Jesse Horwedel grounded to third to end the frame, Mike Curtin had officially done his job, holding the powerful Smash Bros offense to just 1 run. Now winning both the game and the Power Surge belt was on the Stunners offense. Unfortunately for the Stunners, the Longo brothers were still on the field.
Another good sprint. I love it.
Josh Longo tosses 8 scoreless innings in the series as the Stunners go down in Game 3 with a whimper, and the Smash Bros walk away with the win, the Power Surge, and the bonus point. So Smash Bros moves to 6-2 on the season and remain in first place, thanks to the 2 bonus points they've earned defending the Power Surge belt in Slates 2 and 3. As we take a full look at the standings after all the dust has settled and Slate 3 is officially behind us. DX and Savages jump over Armbarn after Armbarn had the bye in Slate 3. But right now it looks like a 4-team race for the top spot. Meanwhile, the Stunners pretty much stay put by winning a game and avoiding a sweep. And Dynasty is way down in 6th place at 1-7 in full-on panic mode with a huge series coming up in Slate 4. And speaking of, let's turn the page on Slate 3 and look at the full Slate 4 schedule, which on paper is the single hardest hitting slate of the season. Of course, almost nothing happens as we expected in this league, but that makes these crucial matchups all the more interesting. The first matchup I'll mention will be the Slate 4 feature series, and can be seen right here next Thursday. It's a matchup of the past 2 league champions between DX and Armbarn. DX had a somewhat shocking sweep of Armbarn last season, which really changed the course of Armbarn's season, and it wasn't a good course. But there's no extra motivation needed when these 2 teams play, and this matchup could be a low-key elimination series for the 1 seed. The next series to point out is the Savages taking on Smash Bros. Not only will both squads be looking to prove a point over Austin Zulo switching from the Savages to the Smash Bros in the offseason, but the Savages will enter this series as the last undefeated team remaining. And as if things couldn't get any heavier, the Power Surge belt will also be on the line in Game 3 of this series, just as it was last season when these two teams met, and that one ended with the Savages taking the belt from Smash Bros. The final series in Slate 4 will be the biggest matchup so far as it pertains to the playoff race between the Stunners and Dynasty. Dynasty at 1-7 needs to win, and they need to win now. And the team they are chasing right now for the final playoff spot is none other than the Stunners. For the Stunners, a sweep or even taking 2 of 3 would put them in great playoff position, while simultaneously all but burying Dynasty, which the Stunners would love to do. But a series sweep or win by Dynasty, and the playoff race gets thrown into complete chaos.
The RZA. They're hitting a KG. That's trademarked by Kyle Jurgensen.
With so much on the line in Slate 4, we can't wait to bring you all the action. Like this.
That one's on its way! Yeah!
Yes, baby. Double play. That one's on its way!
Lines it to left center, and the rookie.
For now, though, that's all we got, as I kindly remind you to please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can catch all the action from all the slates. And follow us on our social media accounts. The links to those will be in the description box below. For everyone here at Electric City Wiffle, I'm Mitch Hipshooter, saying see you next Thursday for the Slate 4 feature series.
Right there.
Dude, that is a good exit,